Hi guys. This is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you get anything from my work, a connect, a dot, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the information is at the bottom of the description of this video. Oahspe Book of Sue, Son of Jehovah. For whatever reason, I did not realize that it was a short section. So I'm going to finish this section today. And then I forgot, Sant Peter Armanji is going to be the next. And then the Book of Licca is probably after that. Again, I do apologize. I went all over the place with this because I was more interested with the Book of Osiris, Apollo, and Thor, and then the cosmogony, and then it just spiraled out of control from there. So this is not in order the way I'm reading it. So please realize this is not in order. Where Urantia is paper by paper by paper, it's in order. I just wanted to make everybody aware of that because it gets a little confusing for people who are just hopping onto the channel and like, oh, wait, what is this? So I'm doing section chapter by chapter. Somebody's thinking about me. It's very, very rainy overnight. And the little kitty cat that I showed yesterday in my video. So a little kitty cat was in front of my house and I fed him. He's cute. He's black. Of course, I attract black cats only. But last night I thought to put food in the front of my house, in the back of my house. So I only put dry food in the front so that I'm not attracting cop attention because I'm on a major road and you're not supposed to feed the animals. And so I put a whole load of stuff on my deck and I saw him this afternoon eating and I was so excited. I opened up my screen door, but he didn't want to come in. But gaining trust. And I'm happy that I'm feeding a cat that I'm not sure if it's an indoor or an outdoor cat. Don't know his situation, but I'm trying to do the right thing. So, crazy day. Crazy day. So we're going to start with chapter 4 because we did the first 3 chapters the last video. Chapter 4. When the time of the festival had come, there congregated in horde, besides the Etherian host, more than 1,000 million souls to witness and to participate in the ceremonies. Sue said, "Here is wisdom and folly, false gods and their dupes, laziness and industry, swiftness and sloth. Yeah, here's a world worthless before Jehovah. And why? Simply for a lack of discipline and harmony. Everyone is for self, and none are producers for the general good. Alas, they are the same as mortals, but stripped of flesh. They are of no value to one another, and consequently of no value to themselves. Now will I show thee, O God, that these hapless beings, with no joy in life, nor hope of resurrection, shall become a great glory to the Father and his kingdoms. God said, pity them, O Father. It is over 1,000 years since they have been visited by the higher heaven. Many of them are learned, but doubting if there be other heavens, save the plateau of this atmosphere of the earth. Millions of them have never seen an Etherian. Alas, I fear for them. Sue said, "Fear not, O God. They are as mortar in my hands. Neither shall there be preaching to them nor praying for them. They are tired of these things, but I will find a new light amongst them, and I shall speak for us. Hear me then. With the populace, I shall be as one that is unknown. Call then thy Assyrians and thy trumpeters and harpists and all the musicians belonging to thy kingdom to the kingdoms of my Lord, and let the procession begin. For all public matters, those who are in the front, if wise, can lead on forever. Be politic, therefore, and shape the populace, whilst the self-gods are amazed at the immensity of the hosts assembled. God did as commanded, and the people saw there was a head to the proceedings. Sue said, "Send thy marshals and decorators to follow close after the musicians, distributing raiment to all who will follow in the procession. My Etherian hosts are advised. They will stand by the way and, with marvelous swiftness, provide the raiment. And all possible extravagant colors and fabrics and hats and ornaments shall be distributed and graciously. My hosts shall be arrayed in plain white, and they shall march not, but be as servants and workmen. And when the Atmospherians have played and sung over all the boundaries of Horde, then shall my Etherian band sing and play and start the dance." All these things were done, and from the very start to the termination of the music, there was harmony in every place and corner amongst the 1,000 millions assembled. Nor was there ever so extravagantly equipped a multitude in the heavens, in earth's heaven. And so completely captivated were the people. Their enthusiasm was boundless. They came the Etherian dance, the which so far surpassed the capacity of the Atmospherians that not one could join in, neither could they partake in the Etherian music. So the Atmospherians looked on, confounded by the excellence of that which was before their eyes. Thus ended the first day's proceedings, which to describe in full would require a large book. So the people were called to the refreshment, and the Etherians, still dressed in white and as servants and laborers, provided the viands. For they had previously made convenience for a supply of material, and so easily with such swiftness did they work, that now for the first time did more learn of the atmosphere of being observed than with surprise and wonder. Presently, inquiries were made as to who they were and whence they came. For so Jehovah created man, that when of his own accord the admireth the excellence of his neighbor, he goeth to the extreme in praising him. So God said, on the morrow shall a new entertainment be given, and new raiment and new viands for the feast. And the host shouted with great vigor and praise. Then the people mingled together to converse on all they had witnessed. Neither comprehended they the object, save for pleasure only. When the next day came, the Etherians had been divided into groups, and the rites of the ancients of the hosts of Ajai in Partha were announced, requiring extravagant toilets, and millions of Atmospherians as assistants. So great was their ambition to take part that only by promises of something in the next rites could be marshals make selections. Sue, Jehovah's son, had previously stationed signal bells at remote distances from one another, but connected them so that the sound would answer quickly, and in the intervening places, exemplarized forests and waterfalls were arranged, and near the middle space 1,000 columns of fire were erected. So in the morning of the second day, when all these glorious scenes were completed, and the Etherians, still plain and in white, stationed about the Atmospherians, were more confounded than ever and more loudly shouting in their praise. First came the birth rites, then the marriage rites, then death rites, and the first resurrection, then the rites of the harmony. And the play represented 1,000,000 of Etherians who went to a corporeal world and followed it through its life and to death and resurrection, its darkness and inharmony and terrible suffering and atmosphere ended with a taboo of a great sun of light descending to deliver them into everlasting paradise. So grand was the spectacle and so sublime the music and the spoken words that the hosts of Horde wept and laughed and shouted and prayed as if their souls would break with joy. Thus ended the second day, and so complete was the glorious work that every soul had sworn a solemn oath to forsake the earth and lower heaven forever. Then God announced for the third day the display of the Etherian power. And the people were so bewildered already that a child could have led the most stubborn of all. For thus Jehovah created man, who, having become much conceit in himself, turned right about and maketh himself a submissive fool. So on the third day, the Etherians displayed their power over the elements of the atmosphere, making corporeal substances and dissolving them at pleasure, making light into darkness and darkness into light, weaving fabrics and making diadems and precious stones, gathering vidans from the essence of things evaporated up from the earth, finding plateau and temples in heaven, making ships and chains and musical instruments. And lastly, the Etherian marshals with 500,000 Etherians turned the winds and set a heavy shower of rain down to the corporeal earth. And all the while, the musicians of the hosts of Sue were discoursing music, the sweetness and grandeur of which surpassed the atmospherians so far that they were as nothing. So because of the exhibition of great power and wisdom, the third day, and changed the fortunes and aspirations of every man and woman in the lower heaven. And they were running hither and thither, pleading to be taken as apprentices or servants, pledging themselves to do anything required of them. Neither would they be put off, demanding that half of the next day should be given to initiating them as real beginners in the second resurrection. Then God spake to them, saying, Ye know not what ye speak. Behold, I have commended ye for hundreds of years to put away your fine raiment and sparkling gems, and to begin adorning your souls, so as to become bride and bridegrooms of the Great Spirit. But ye would not, but strove continually to adore yourselves, forgetting to labor for those beneath you. Behold, now stand Jehovah's brides and bridegrooms before you. What is their worth compared to yours? Are they not plain, and are ye not decorated? But millions of voices rose up, saying, We will do whatever thou commandest, O God. There is no God like unto thee. Then God spake, saying, Hear me, then further. This is to begin the second resurrection, to put away your jewels and diadems and ornaments, and above all things to forsake self, and hence labor for others who are beneath you. If ye do this in a brotherhood, ye are already beginning the second resurrection. Neither is there any other road to wisdom and power. Again, the multitude cried out, We will do anything. We have faith. And God answered them, saying, Suffer then a few to be initiated on tomorrow, but ye be patient, of good judgment, slow to resolve, but firm forever. So on the fourth day in the morning, behold, more than 100,000,000 spirits had abandoned their shadowy raiment and stood arrayed in white, devoid of jewels and diadems, ready to be initiated and take the vows of the second resurrection as above. And accordingly, new music was prepared, and the procession and ceremony so arranged that the greatest possible glory would be manifested. Canopies were stretched overhead, and arches and columns on the borders of the march decorated with flowers and vines, and amidst these, half concealed, were nestled the response singers, who were to speak for and with initiates. But concealed from view and afar off were bells and explosives, which were the morning signals. And the glad and solemn sound of the immortal voice came down and came upon the souls of millions, impatient to vow themselves to a new life. And God and his hosts welcomed them with great joy. So grand and imposing were the ceremonies that midday, another 100,000,000 came robed in white to be initiated also. Neither desired the people any other entertainment, And so the initiations were continued on the 5th day, and yet another 100 million applied, also robed in white. And this was continued on the 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th days. And lo and behold, 1,000 million angels had taken the vows of the second resurrection. Interesting. After this manner were the words of the initiation led by the Etherian host, to wit, God on the throne said, "Oh, Eohe." I don't know if I'm saying that right, and I don't want to say it. Jehovah, Almighty, Almighty, boundless. Response, how shall I comprehend thee, thou mighty one? God, thou higher than all gods and lords. Response, who movest the universe with power unlimited? God, creator and controller of the corporeal worlds. Response, in whose hands the Etherian firmament is like a fruitful garden, wider than the boundaries of time. God, whose members are all space. Response, whose members are the all that is within place beyond measure. God, thou, Oahspe, thou foundation and terminus of all things. Response, Eohai, of whom all things are but parts attuned to thy will. God, thou all person, Oahai, incomprehensible. Response, who speaketh in the light, whose voice is the progress of the universe. God, Eohai, thou all giver, by giving createth. Response, what are thy secrets, Almighty One? O Eohai, everlasting, greater than magnitude. God, I see nothing in all the universe but thee. All selves are but fractions of thyself. Oh, here we got some truth coming out of here. That's a big truth. That's a big one. That's a huge one. That's huge. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to start that off. Response, who hath not beholden thee, O Eohai? Thy person is in the east, west, and north and south, below and above, far and near. Enoch and Hermes comes to mind with that. God, who hath not heard thy voice, who hath not found thy hand and pusheth him along. Response, without thee, O Ehi, I go not, I move not, I set out to do things of myself and fail utterly. God, what is man before thee, O Eohai? He setteth up a kingdom, and it falleth as a house of straw. Response, O Eohai, how I have wasted my time. My buildings were lighter than chaff. My virtues were but bubbles, and they are busted and gone. God, when will man learn to attune himself to thee, Eohai? Response, how can I put away myself, O Eohai? Have I not said I cannot put away my own judgment? God, man saith, I will not put away my judgment, and lo, therein doeth he it. Response, have I not said to protect myself is the first law, and to preserve my own the highest law? God, man assumeth, to protect himself because he is without faith in thee, O Eohi, and preserve his own, which in fact is not his. And here the light fell upon the throne, and Jehovah spake out of the light, saying, I have called thee, O man, from thy youth up. My voice have never ceased in thy ear. Who can come into life without me? Who can measure his own footsteps? Behold, he treadeth on my ground. Of all that he is made, the substance is mine. The kingdoms of the earth and the kingdoms of gods and lords in heaven, what are they more than imitations of my works, wherein they imitate me, while I am with them in wisdom, love, and power? Shall a man butt his head against a wall to prove he is better than his creator? Behold, I came in the ancient days, saying, strive to become one with me, and thou shalt rejoice that I create thee. Strive to set up for thyself, and thy vanity shall in time pierce thee as a two-edged sword. Hear the love of thy creator, O man, for I made thee with fondness for thy sons and daughters, of love like my own. I gave thee a part, and as thou sendest to the wayward son, beseeching him to return to thee, so do I bring messengers from the higher worlds to call thee, and that thou mayest not mistake their higher place. I give them power and wisdom surpassing thee. The voice ceased, and then the initiate said, hence I will serve only thee, O Eohi, nor will I more think what shall become of me. For I know wilt appropriate me wisely, O Eohi. Accordingly, as the stone is hewn and polished, so wilt thou put in the walls of thy house. My labor is a hew and polish and perfect mine own soul forever. My soul shall become a shining star. My love like thy Etherian angels, and plain my remnant and clean forever. Nor more will I boast, nor speak untrue forever, nor sloth attain me, nor vanity, nor self, nor will I talk of myself, nor criticize my brethren, nor my neighbors, for they are thine, O Eohi. To do righteous works and lift up my fellows shall be my labor henceforth forever. Make me strong in thee, O Eohi, and wise to do thy will forever. Amen. Okay. I'm going to read another section, but then I'm going to bring something in. But here's something very, 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 very tantamountably interesting. If we're on the second seeding of Earth, the second cycle, when's the term men made up, and when did Ra come and ascend down after Atlantis fell? And that's when men came. Do you see the problem in here? Do you see the problem? It's saying amen. Atlantis didn't happen yet. Atlantis didn't happen yet. Ra didn't make his appearance because, okay, hang on. Okay, right after the Book of Sue is Apollo, and right after Apollo is Thor, and right after Thor is Osiris. When was Ra established? Moon, Ra, Men. When was that? Oh yeah, that's right. After Atlantis. Just pointing things out because I have no choice. And then I'm going to read you guys something very, very interesting. And again, I'm not here to slide the book. If you believe in that, beautiful. Just start making sense out of why this book goes into the seedings of the planet. And there was the first seeding, the second seeding, the third, and there's a bunch of seedings. How are they saying amen? when it wasn't even in creation at that point in time. The same with circumcision. I mean, going into our history, which is all wrong and devoid. Anywho, but there's a lot of things I'm just pointing out to my friends in just La La Land over here. That just things just don't add up or make sense in the chronological order of succession and things. What are we supposed to spell? Amen. Amen. Like a man. I don't say that when I pray, but many of you do know the context of where that comes from, at least in the greater scheme of things. And I mean, there's a lot of perceptions, so I'm just taking the ones that really resonate with me. So don't, I'm just the messenger from upstairs. So great were the words and music of the ceremonies that people were entranced beyond measure. The old and divided kingdoms, which were without unity and discipline, were now replaced by extreme sanctity and decorum. Sue said, "Hear me, O God, I will counsel thee further. Know then that the false gods and false lords have gone off to build up kingdoms of their own, nor know they what hath happened in Horeb. Suffer them to proceed until they have purified the corporeans from the familiars and the fetals. But when they have finished, call thou another festival of all these people, and also send word to the false gods and the false lords who deny Jehovah, the all person," that sounds odd, "and they will come, bringing their slaves, having themselves adorned in extravagant raiment and jewelry, for they will expect by their pageantry to triumph over other gods and men, hoping to carry back within the millions of subjects. God said, I perceive, O Sue, son of Jehovah." So God did as commanded. And sure enough, in course of time, the false gods and false lords stripped the barbarians of the earth of their familiars and fetals, making slaves of such spirits in heaven. And in came to pass that God gave another festival, and it was greater than the first, and there were present upward 3,000 million angels who had become enlisted in the righteous work. This was the beginning of the third year of Sue, and his wisdom and power were now manifested all around the world, on earth and in heaven. And this is what happened in reference to the false gods and false lords who came to the festival equipped in chariots and ships, with banners and flags and crowns and diadems, and such wonderful extravagances, the like of which had not been in heaven since the flood, the first one. And each and every false god and false lord endeavored to outdo the others in the show and parade. As might be expected, the first day of the festival neither won their applause nor censure. The second day, they ceased to attract attention, for the thrift and purity and wisdom manifested in the countless millions of the second resurrection caused even children to receive more praise than gods and lords with all their glitter and show. On the third day, one half of the false gods and false lords cast aside their adornments and appeared in plain white, pleading to be initiated into the mysteries of the second resurrection. And on the day following, the rest then came also seeking like a mission. Whereupon the light of Jehovah spake through God on the throne, saying, Bethink ye, O ye gods and lords, what are ye doing? But as yesterday ye asked for kingdoms, desiring to be leaders and great workers over and above your fellows. And ye obtained your desires, becoming gods and lords over millions. And these became your dutiful subjects, and ye adorn your thrones and your persons in great splendor. Behold, I gave a festival, and ye came as living witnesses of what self-made gods and lords could accomplish. And your dutiful subjects came with you to attest their loyalty and good faith in your wisdom and power. Now have ye cast aside your crowns and high estate, praying to become workers among the hosts of men and women? Are ye not mad? And are ye not making yourselves the destroyers of your own subjects? For behold, because of your adjuration of self-pomp and self-glory, all your subjects are cast aside in ignorance and misery. With one voice, the self-gods and self-lords answered, saying, Alas, O God, what shall we do? Our crowns we can give away, our raiment and jewels, and our thrones and kingdoms. But, O God, we cannot give away our subjects. They will not go. We have bound them to us, and we are bound to them because we accepted them. What shall we do, O God? The burden is more than we can bear. God said, Be not disconsolate, O gods and lords. Ye have done a great work. Ye have rescued millions and millions of familiars and fetals, and even before ye applied for the resurrection, behold, most of your subjects had already deserted you. Hear the judgments of your Creator, which is that when all your subjects and fetals are risen in wisdom and virtue and good works, so as to take the second resurrection, even on the same day shall ye be promoted, for only until then can ye have freedom of your soul. The voice ceased, and the self-gods and self-lords answered, Thou art just, O Jehovah. We will go to work amongst our poor and ignorant subjects, and make them comprehend thy wisdom, power, and justice. For 10 days the festival lasted, and then it ended. Thus were first established rites and ceremonies in the lower heaven as power to work wisdom and virtue. And from that time ever after, music and marching and dancing were included in all ceremonies by the gods and lords of heaven. In the 5th year of Sue, he dispatched swift messengers to Oahspe in Etheria, saying, Thus saith Sue, God of 2 Etherian worlds, behold, I am sojourning on the earth, and with the God of heaven and his lords have prepared 1,000 million brides and bridegrooms for Jehovah's Etherian harvest. Greeting to Nista of Ho and Toen, goddess, in the name of Jehovah, send Eravana and complete the resurrection of the fathers, brides, and bridegrooms. So it came to pass in Etheria, the goddess Nista provided an Aravanga on an Etherian ship, resolving to come to as commander-in-chief. So advised God, saying, Make thou of this matter a great testimony in thy heavens. Send therefore the messengers into all parts and to thy lords on the earth, inviting all people to be present, to witness the ascent of Jehovah's brides and bridegrooms. God did as commanded, and on that day of the appearance of Nista, daughter of Jehovah, and her sonship in the firmament, there were assembled in horde countless millions of souls inspired of Jehovah. Great was the rejoicing and the manifestations of delight when the sonship came in full view, descending like a world on fire. And when she passed Shimvat and was fully within the earth's vortex, the enthusiasm of the people knew no bounds. They sang and prayed and danced and clapped their hands as if mad with delight. Meantime, the brides and bridegrooms had been arrayed in Etherian white and were now saluting those whom they were soon to leave. Quietly, the Etherian host filled their part in the great play of the immortal resurrection, very gods and goddesses in demeanor. Never nearer and nearer came Nista in her sonship, slowly turning and descending with 10,000 curtains suspended and waving in 10 times 10,000 banners and flags waving above and around, and then slowly down, lower and lower, till the Aravanga rested on the plateau of Horde to the south of the temple of Jehovah. Gus Itiv Marshallus to the throne of Sue in Izakara with 10,000 deputies went forward, and with open arms received Nista. Goddess descended, saluting with the sign of the star and the square, having been warm friends 200,000 years in the plains of Oyad, in the Etherian Istu of Hai Dan, the spiritual center of the orbit of the great serpent within Zagagorathika. The ensuers of both hosts were chanting, and the angels of the Aravanga coming forth in hundreds of thousands to be saluted by the previous trained brides and bridegrooms of Jehovah and the host of Sue, the Etherian laborers. And when Nista came up to the throne, God and great Sue rose up amidst the light, now fasting, gathering as a mantle of brilliant fire over the place of the council. Sue said, "O hail, O Nista, Jehovah's daughter." God said, "In Jehovah's name, welcome, O Nista," to which Nista answered, saying, "By the wisdom and power of Jehovah, O my beloved." And Sue and God parted, and Nista ascended and sat in the midst of the throne. After the ceremonies and salutation, Nista said, "Let the brides and bridegrooms of Jehovah approach the throne of God." The marshals then ushered them to their places, 1,000,000,000, and the swift messengers bounded them on all sides, so that the response should be uniform and as if spoken by one person. Whereupon Nista spake from the throne, and the brides and bridegroom responded the usual form of gods and goddesses, and then took the necessary vows and renunciations of the earth and lower heaven according to Jehovah's commandments. When the ceremonies were finished, God proclaimed one day of recreation, which was participated in joyously by upward of 4,000,000,000 souls. So on the next day, Nista and her hosts, with the 1,000,000,000 brides and bridegrooms, entered the Aravanga, amidst the cheers and weeping of millions of atmospherians who had never witnessed so grand a spectacle. And then Nista, by the power of the Great Spirit, set her ship in motion, raised it up from the lower heaven, moved it upward by her command, saying, "Arise, arise, Aravanga. By my will arise, embrace thou the realms of great Jehovah, arise." The ensuers and trumpeters were singing and playing, and those ascending threw down flowers and perfumes and all manner of pleasant remembrances to the countless millions below. In a little while, the Aravanga disappeared in the high heaven. This then is what followed of Sue's ministration, to wit: when the end of dawn had come, that is the 6 years, he delivered God and his lords and another 1,000,000,000 bride and bridegrooms, taking them into the extreme borders of Issachar, where was assigned the Aegean field of Rustuso, with 12 Etherian worlds. And Sue left Tehai as anointed god of the lower heaven for the next 400 years. And God Tehai anointed lords for the division of the earth, the same as had been before. And the earth and heaven prospered, so that in the Dan following there were raised up 2,000,000,000 brides and bridegrooms. From this time on there was a decrease in the Etherian harvests for 2,000 years, and after which time there were great darkness on the earth and heaven belonging to it. The self-gods filled all atmospheria. And as for lords, there rose up in every nation on the earth thousands and thousands, so that men and angels knew not of there were a true God or a true Lord in any universe. I'm going to find something, and I find it very interesting to read to you guys. Okay. I'm reading from somebody who's transcribed a little bit of Ashana Dean's work, and I'm only doing this to just, I want to steer you guys in the direction of my thinking when I'm reading these books and when I'm deciphering things, because I'm an open mind, and I hope that the people who are watching me are too. Now, I believe this book to be a Jehovah and Anunnaki book, because they're using Jehovah, period, and the story and everything there. Where's the God of all? Why are there little mini gods? And because this is alien history. This is what we're reading, is alien history. We're not reading human history. And again, I want you to take this in my perspective. I'm not asking you to change your view, you change and resonate what you will, but most Urantia as well is not human history. They're giving you how this earth was seeded from them. That's a big difference from having God come down and seed us and it just be humans. It's not the case. And again, this is my perception. So the fallen angelic Anunnaki groups, Alpha Omega Order Templar Melchizedeks. Fallen Seraphim, Sanjazi Anunnaki from Pleiades Alcyone. Jehovian Anunnaki from Sirius A, designers of the crucifixion implant network on Earth. Thoth, Enki, Enlil, collectors from the Nibiru and Sirius A. Marduk, Necromaton, Enlil, Odedicron, alliance with Nerubians. Michael family Nephilim hybrids, clone Michael bodies of the Anunnaki hybrids from Orion, Sirius, Andromeda. Reptile Insectoid Collective, the main groups of negative aliens, the Anunnaki, Draconians, and Necromatons that source out of the phantom matrix spaces in the parallel systems, formed alliances with the fallen angelic Anunnaki groups to take control over the Earth, which are referred to as the NAA. These groups use technology to open wormholes that were blended together to create the power required to attempt to pull the Earth body into a black hole system, leading into the phantom matrix where they exist, and then could gain control over the planet and humanity. The parallel system of which these entities came from is called the Wisa system. This is a universal time matrix, and its parallel of which many of the Anunnaki and their hybrids originate from the Wizadek system, while the Draconian species are coming from the anti-particle universe called the Rizadrak system. They join together to run energy reversals in the planet in order to realign the Earth with their system. Through the wormholes and black hole system they created for that purpose. They joined with the fallen angelics to counteract and destroy the Christic human guardian race for the control and domination of this time vector in the universal time matrix. That's why most of the books that I read on my channel, I want a greater, bigger understanding of where this information originated from, and it's not necessarily from humans, us. And everything I just read is something that I purely resonate with because I've had my own experiences with. And again, the hardest thing about anything is that unless you have your own experience and you get your own validation and you get your own going within and you're getting your signs and your symbols and your inner knowing, you're not going to believe anybody but yourself. So I beg to ask if anybody here is on the same page as me when it comes to this book, and the same with Urantia. They're different factions writing our history of how they came and infiltrated our system and have been in trying to enslave us and grab us and siphon our quanta. And this book holds so many juicy tidbits onto that because it's telling you there's been slaves in their systems. The ignorant and the stupid people, as they claim. Well, why in God's creation are there any of that? Especially early on when we are being seeded. Alien book. Alien history. So I just wanted to put that out there because don't be fooled with Jehovah's God. Jehovah's not God. The all, the monad, the pleroma, the all end all be all of all energy, all creation is not Jehovah. God can, in some people's eyes, can be Satan. It's energy, it's physics. as their ships are spaceships. Just want to put this out there because there's new people watching me, and a lot of people are on a bandwagon, and I love you guys for that. You're following my buddy, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that you need to realize when this book is being read to you. And those of you who are in the Oahspe community that watch me, please don't take offense. I hope that you understand where I'm coming from in trying to discern work objectively. And there is a branch of Anunnaki called the Jehovih and Anunnaki. And all these gods and Lord gods. The chief of Orion, it says it in here, the chief of Orion. We're talking, all those names that I can't pronounce are all put down in English because they're alien names. All those sections of the world and planets and stuff, it's in other places. Jaith, Arabia. These are all places that were renamed 1,000,005 times until they are what they are now to us humans. Must I go back to this book, which I'm almost done? Sorry for being so brutal and don't mean to be like that. It's just, it's been on my mind. It's been bugging the living daylights out of me. And although I don't mind reading this book whatsoever, I just want to steer people into the way of my thinking, and not saying I'm right or wrong, but I need people to start looking objectively and without your bias, without you're all in it to win it, chicken dinner. There's something to that. And there's something to what I was talking about before with how are we talking about heaven and all the parts in between, and how are we saying after Jehovah, Amen? It's a little bizarre. Just pointing that one out. Just pointing it out because I think it's very important, especially people who read this and hold it as their religious book. Just understand, if you understand the agenda and you're okay with it, that's cool. But know the agenda. Know what they're trying to tell you here. It's an Anunnaki book. Most of the gods and gods that I just spoke about are trying to take us humans out. And they've been doing it, as you can plainly see in this book. They've been taking people out. Different factions, different tribes, different whatever, kingdoms. So just understand where this is coming from. It's an Anunnaki book, in my opinion. But don't you worry, I'm still going to continue. Just wanted to convey that one section. So next time we did Fragapati. That was a big chapter. I'm still flipping through it. Still flipping through Fragapati. I did the Book of Divinity. Okay, we're going to do some Penta Armanji. We're going to do that. That's the next reading that I will do. Being of the first deliverance of God's chosen people. Oh, yeah. The chosen people. If we all love God and we're here, aren't we all chosen because we're all aspects and fractals of God in the first place? Mic drop. Anywho, sorry, guys. I am sending each and every one of you love, light, protection, and shielding and understanding. I'm not here to upset anybody else's paradigm. I'm just here to point out my perceptions and my viewpoints on the things that I do read, and not all the time. Most of my readings, I don't add in my commentary. Sometimes my inner compass digs at me and wants to eat me if I don't get it out. So I'm doing that. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to just spread and read knowledge. But again, we have to know where this knowledge is coming from. My opinion, it's coming out of an Anunnaki lineage, their perception on how this earth was seeded, and it's theirs, not necessarily the human angelic experience. But there's still things in here that are correct. There are things in here that correspond with other books that is correct in terms of what we know. Unless more things become knowledgeable to us, I'm holding it, most of the book is true. So not taking away from anybody on that end. Just wanted to point it out that it's an alien point of view of how this happened. And Jehovah happens not to be the God of all sources and the God of the creative spirit, the end all be all that we all fractalize from. That's not Jehovah. So just my opinion. Yeah. So next time we'll start with the book of Saint Peta Armanji, daughter of Jehovah. Sorry, this was a little on the short side. I was thinking it was a massive, massive reading, and it wasn't. That's okay. Wanted to get that done today because I have to go to sleep on the earlier side. I got We Not Me tomorrow in the morning. And I haven't been sleeping. And I want to see if I can find a little kitty and try to coax him in the house so that I can get him to the vet. And I got to go food shopping and continue cleaning and drawing and making artwork, and then start cataloging it all and figuring it all out. It's a lot going on, always. But guys, I hope all of you have a really good rest of your week. Please be safe, be seen. And until the next time, guys, have a good one.